button. I'm going to ask all of you if you're all right to stay while we live stream. All right, cool. So we are live. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the latest installment of As Town Farm Turns. Good to see everybody. I hope everybody's excited for a good, hopefully long weekend coming up. I know I certainly am. Just more softball with kids, but psyched to have you all here. First things first, I've got 6:02 for calling the meeting to order. Again, as I just mentioned sort of a second ago, we're missing Chris Romelin, Rick Rogers, Adam Raposa, who may chime in, and then Chris Cotta, I think, are send their regrets for this meeting. If Adam chimes in, we'll obviously see him join. So with that said, the meetings from March 24th, Catherine, thank you for sending those out. At this point, I'll just start off by entertaining a motion to approve the minutes from March 24th.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Can I get a second?
Second.
10 seconds. Is there any, are there any changes that need to be made? Any discussion?
No.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Good deal. Josh, were you on that?
Aye.
Thank you. Josh has apparently got the digital remix going there. So, cool. All right, so into general business. First things first, Patricia, we're psyched to have you. Would you mind doing sort of a quick introduction? And then what I'll do is I'll ask everybody to kind of introduce themselves as well.
Sure, absolutely. First of all, call me Pat. I go by Pat. People that call me Patricia is like my mother. I work at the Tiverton Wastewater District. I'm the office manager for the district and also the bookkeeper. So I'm very familiar with the open meetings law. I mentioned when I came in the meeting, this is my second one this week. We had our board meeting on Monday. So I do know, the rules of the road as far as the open meetings go. And I'm happy to join the team.
We're very happy to have you. And I also just want to commend you because we're communicating back and forth and she's already started diving in on some of the paver stuff, which is pretty awesome as far as I'm concerned. So I'm going to go around the horn based on where I'm sitting because of course I'm the center of the universe. So Jen, would you mind doing a quick introduction next?
Hi Pat, I'm Jen Osar. I'm really glad to have you here. Nice to meet you.
Dave.
Hi, Pat. David Paul here, and welcome aboard.
Oh,
and,
thank you, Dave.
Let's get this thing done, right?
You got it. You got it.
So, and just for a reference point, Jen is the PTO president at Ranger. Yep, and Dave is the president of Tiverton Little League. So we've got different people that are bringing different reference points in town to this. So. Dan, can I get you to go next, please?
Yes, nice to meet you, Pat. My name is Dan Basalt.
Thank you.
Happy to be here.
Josh? Mr. Crow.
Hey, how's it going, Pat? Nice to meet you.
Oh, good. Thanks, Josh.
I'm in town and happy to have you on board.
As we go forward, just as on a note on Josh, because he and I have been working a lot on the project management side of this, a number of the invoices may come in from him or from me as we do things. So just reference wise.
Okay.
And Catherine, last but certainly not least.
Hi, Pat. I'm Catherine Hopkins. I'm also the secretary of the committee, so I take the minutes and post them to the Secretary of State once they're approved. So you'll see them coming from me usually the day before or the day of the meeting just to review from the previous meeting. But happy to have you.
Thank you.
Hope we can see each other in person soon.
Yeah. Pretty soon. It'll be happening pretty soon. Our board is talking about restarting our board meetings in person. Maybe by the end of the summer.
But
Yeah, I do want to just on that note, if I was to try and schedule our next meeting in person, which is June 23rd, the next one, does anybody have any objections to getting together like at the library again? And if you don't want to mention it now, we can, feel free to reach out offline, but any initial thoughts or red flags?
I'm fine with that still. Fine with that.
Works for me.
As much as I love Zoom, it would be nice to actually see people again.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. I'll put in a request for it for the next one with the library because I know that they're starting to get back to it, which is cool. Playground timeline. I'm just going to screen share real quick here. So zoom in. Something that, so quick backstory, Compan, who's the company that we're working with, and anybody who's looking at home, this is obviously fair game to check out. Compan, the project manager for our project, left about a week ago, and a new individual started last Monday. So Emmanuel is the person that we're working with. Obviously, you can see we're at sort of the middle point on this. Equipment installation is bolded. Anybody who's been down to Town Farm or looked on the Facebook page will see that they've started unpacking and getting things set. From our standpoint, the only remaining piece is that there's a telephone pole that had to get moved. Josh and I looked at where it needed to get moved to because it's right next to where the mound for the zip line is. And so Fred Souza, I believe, is the person that the DPW is using to move that once it's out of the way. The rest of the construction will be done. But the intent here is to have all of the stuff done and this project done, they say by mid-June. We have been targeting the 4th of July as a launch date on that. And so my intent is to set up a ribbon cutting sort of around that time frame, maybe a little bit before. I throw that out there as a sort of a question. Does that seem to make sense for people? Like, we try to do it before 4th of July. Do we think that we're going to get people to attend? I mean, I don't know what
Maybe around the last day of school.
What is the last day of school?
24th for elementary.
Take a look at it. So May. That would put us on a Thursday. Like, we could do it on a Friday afternoon, the day after too. I don't know. What do people think?
Yeah, I think that Friday would be good.
I think you may be able to get more people if you do it on the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, if we're with the 4th being here on a Sunday, I guess one of my initial thoughts was if we try to do it over 4th of July weekend, are people going away, right? So,
Yeah, I think.
Probably are, yeah.
What's that, Catherine?
I think 4th of July weekend would be difficult.
Okay.
Mm.
So if we aimed for probably like the 25th or 26th, somewhere there, do we think Fridays or Saturdays might be better?
I think a
Friday.
Saturday would work. I think we just have to look at Tiverton Youth Soccer and see what their schedule is. I believe Little League, other than tournament play, will be done.
All right, I'll pull a couple of potential dates and times, and then also, Dave, you obviously know what's going on with Little League, but I'll also check with soccer. I mean, one of the cool things actually that might work about a Saturday is we may have a lot of people there, and so if we can kind of thread the window on it, but any of those days, 24th, 25th, 26th, I don't have any objection to any of them. It seems like it makes sense. So I've got a call with the project manager tomorrow just to check in, and we'll see if that's a feasible set of dates. And also, we're going to want to check with the town council and some local representatives and the DEM to make sure that they can be there. So, cool. All right, awesome. So, any questions on the playground timeline? Cool. I'll share. All right, now we get into sort of the meat of things. With fundraising, I don't know if anybody saw that Humphreys has very kindly agreed to provide the engineered wood fiber. That's a pretty big chunk. That's over a $10,000 donation for what it is, and it helps us in two areas. One, by contributing it helps us. They're not contributing the product; they're contributing the funding for it. So it helps us with the match, and also we're going to look at decreasing the installation cost by trying to do it ourselves and working with the DPW, which is another $7,000 savings. So
Yes.
it's a big help.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So that's a big first one. I have some fundraising packets that I can give out to people. I would love to sort of hand off a couple to everybody and say, you know, can you help me start soliciting folks as we get into this and with fundraising? And I feel like we've kind of danced around some of this. The pavers are one piece of this project, and they're moving along. And I think in looking at it, Pat, you very kindly agreed to kind of help own some of that space with it. I guess before I continue down into individual donations and corporate donations, just a pause on the pavers piece. Pat, are you comfortable just taking it and running with it? Do you see something that you would need from us? We really haven't had a chance to kind of decompress on it yet, but I think collecting money and promoting are the two areas with it. So.
Yeah, looking at it over the last couple of days, I kind of dove into the pavers portion, and just a couple of questions for you. And if you know, have any of the pavers been ordered yet? No, because there is an order out there that they were getting ready to start engraving. And when I talked to Polar Engraving today, they wanted to know if it was a real order or a test order. So I just didn't know. It was about 4 pavers.
Yeah, they didn't. I'd have to look at it and talk with you. I don't know where that came from because we didn't place an order yet. So.
Okay. Then the second question I have for you is, looking at the website and the orders, we have about 106 pavers ordered already. And, you know, they are talking about a 4 or 5 week lead time to get those pavers. And you can order them in groups and there is no delivery charges. So it's just the order and they deliver it to you at no charge. What's our timeline for getting those installed?
That is a great question. So, it's 1,300 square feet of 1,345 square feet of pavers. So there's a lot of pavers there beyond the 100. One of the things that I think would be interesting for this group to weigh in on is when do we want to close sort of the first order wave of it and get moving with it? I'm not as honestly concerned about having the pavers all done by the time that we open the playground. I think as long as the parking lot's available, we can add those in as we go. And we'll have them this summer, but I don't know that there was the expectation of having all of the pavers installed on opening day, just purely based on logistics. And, you know, with only 100 pavers out of probably 6,000, we've got a little ways to go. So I don't know. I was kind of aiming at setting a deadline for ordering round 1 of pavers around probably mid-June. And then kind of go from there, and we'll have to add on to, we'll also have to fill in some of the space, but that's just sort of my take. So I'm open to any feedback people have or thoughts.
Just on the pavers, do you think it would be a nice incentive to get maybe a smaller order by opening day so people can actually see the pavers installed? It may not be all of them, but they can see, hey, that's a great idea. I'm going to want to buy a paver.
Sure.
Might be a really good incentive.
Yeah, we'd have to figure out where they go. I mean, maybe over by the concession stand, by the stairs area there too, or directly in front of the entrance to the playground. Either one of those. Yeah. I don't know.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
From the spaces that you guys are in, and Jen, I kind of want to look at you a little bit just because you're so involved with PTOs. I mean, do you think if we said to folks, you need to order it within the next 10 days to get it by the opening day, do you think that there's going to be a bigger push?
I mean, there might be. I would, you know, I can't see why it doesn't hurt to put it out there. I think a lot of people still don't know. I mean, I keep seeing comments once in a while on social media. Oh, how do I order one? And we think we put it out there a lot, but somehow people are missing it too. So I like the idea of having it there. So there's lots of traffic this summer with some kind of signage that says, here's how to order a brick. If we have the first 150, 200, whatever it is out.
Yeah. All right. So from an action item standpoint, sounds like one of the big things we need to do is get the word out more than we have right now. I can definitely provide a flyer that's available for printing. Is there somebody that could work with Pat to kind of help canvass the neighborhood, so to speak? And also, can we do another push out through, Little League, through PTOs, like just kind of try to get it into those channels as well?
Yeah, I'll push it out to the middle school PTO.
Yep, I'll send it to the elementaries.
Yeah, and I have no problem using our database also, Stu. So if we get a flyer sent to us, I can push that through the Tiverton Little League email base.
I will send a flyer around along with the actual toolkit later on tonight. I just need I've got a couple printed that I can give to people if they want them in a nice shiny envelope, but or folder. But if you just want to print it yourself, I'll give you the stuff so you have it along with that. So cool. So let's do this. If we're talking about, Pat, what did you say the lead time that they need to produce bricks is? Sorry.
They said typically it's a 3 to 4 week, but being that it's just about Memorial Day, they're very busy, and it's now at about 4 to 5 week turnaround time.
All right, so maybe we're putting a notice out here that says the first round of bricks orders is going in by next Friday, it gives people about a little more than a week. I'll get the flyers to everybody today. We do one more big push, has to get done by the 4th. It's not the last order we'll do, but it might incentivize people, and then it's got to be in by like noon on Friday so that we can turn around and submit it. That sound reasonable?
I think that's a good idea.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm monopolizing this a little bit, but I don't know if you guys know all of this information on this bricks and the brick order and the fundraising campaign. The way that it's working with Denise, I also met with Denise at the town today, and she explained to me how the PayPal is working. And what's happening is the Polar Engraving is, if an individual buys a brick for $50, Polar Engraving sends us all $50. Then once the order is placed, they're going to subtract their fee. So although our balance sheet may have a positive donation balance, we are going to see an expense side on that. So it will fluctuate up and down based on those brick orders being, unlike PayPal, where PayPal takes their fee off the top and just sends us the rest.
And we haven't, I will say, we have not looked at financial statements in the past. I think we started to talk about it early on. I also didn't want to just sort of put you on the spot for this particular meeting, but I'd love to add just treasurer's report as we go forward on where we are with some of these things, just so that information we can circulate with everybody.
Yeah, I certainly can do that. I just wasn't sure what you guys had, what you wanted to see, what kind of information you were looking for.
Yeah, I also think one of the challenges that we're facing right now is that we've been focused on the playground side of it. We have a pretty good estimate on what the outdoor fitness area will be. The pickleball court, the cost on that is still a little bit up in the air based on a number of different factors. So just candidly, when we started doing the project, the initial intent was just to reseal coat it and put new lines on it. That doesn't work for what we need. We found we have to replace the whole thing. So it changes the budget numbers a little bit. There are some irons in the fire that I think may help out with that, but they haven't come to fruition yet, just based on timing. So that number, when we talk about what our total fundraising goal is, that number will change a little bit depending on how that gets sorted out. But we know very explicitly what we need for the playground and what we need for the fitness area. So we can, maybe it makes sense visually to talk about breaking down each of the projects and where we are financially, and then how that fits globally. I don't know. You're way better at the treasurer stuff than I am. I'm throwing it out there. Anybody else have any thoughts?
Yeah, well, if anybody doesn't have any suggestions or whatnot, you can always email me and let me know if there's something that you're looking for specifically. But I can prepare a treasurer's report for the next meeting, maybe give an outline of our balance sheet, our money raised to date, expenses to date, how close we are to the goal, things like that.
Well, that transitions in perfectly to the donation side of things, right? So, within this group, I don't want to put people on the spot, but I need your help raising money. And so I guess my question here is, how do people feel about everybody having an individual donations goal? And we can collectively look at this and go, what do we feel we're comfortable with between now and the next meeting? If everybody comes back and says, I'm good raising, a target of $2,500, cool. If people say I can't do that, that's okay too. I just wanted to have a sort of a brief discussion about this globally for how do people feel about kind of contributing in that particular space, or is there an opportunity for folks like the Humphreys donation? Adam Raposa, I'll give him credit, started that dialogue. So I don't know. I need to open it up to this group because I want to see what people's comfort factors are and what do you think?
I mean, I'll start. Personally, for me right now, I'm in PTO world and we're in the middle of a fundraiser. So for me right now until school ends, I'm kind of tapped out with that as far as, going into businesses because I'm doing it for school currently. And it's probably some of the same businesses. So, once things wind down with that, I can definitely help and transition to that. But right now I'm kind of at my max for that. But I'm, other stuff definitely happy to help, or once in the next month when that's over, I can definitely step it up.
And
Stu, I like the idea of the individual goals. I think that if I would have set a target just for me, I'd hold myself accountable for it, going to individuals and businesses. So for me, I have no problem, putting up, making a goal of a few thousand at least. And I think if we all feel that same way, we get, that usually produces good outcomes. So for me, I have no problem doing the individual route.
yeah, I agree with Dan. I think, having a target that each of us is looking for is something that actually gets us doing the work. And I'd also be happy if there's a list somewhere of, these are people in town who should be contacted. I'm happy to take a chunk out of that list and, make the call, start the dialogue. If they want to meet with people, I'm happy to facilitate that. If there's, suggestions of contacts of people, I'm happy to do that.
Stu, I'll piggyback.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, buddy. I'll piggyback on that one because I know you and I had talked about a particular list. If there's a way to have either the letterhead or maybe letterhead with a personalized solicitation, kind of piggybacking on what Catherine was saying. If there's some type of list available that we can go off of, with the businesses, of course, we want to be careful we're not crossing each other. I'm not going to something that Dan went to. So if we had a list or something, that would be good. And I mean, I don't mind the idea of even personalizing the request, whether I personalize it on behalf for the ones I target. It might give the eventual, hopefully, donor more personalized experience as well. So.
Awesome. All right. So here's what I'm going to suggest. And Pat, I'm going to exempt you from this just because you're the new kid on the block, unless you want to jump in on it. But I would like to, for everybody who feels comfortable, sort of have an individual fundraising goal over the next 4 weeks of $2,500 a person. If we don't hit it, okay, but let's try to get there. I will put together in a Dropbox for everybody a link to all of the materials you need. If we've got the personalized letter, we have the fundraising materials. I can also deliver however many copies of things you want. So just let me know if you want me to drop off stuff at your house. And there is a list that we've had going in an Excel spreadsheet of companies that we've connected with. And what I'll do is I will basically go back through that list and assign probably 5 to 10 for every group. I will tell you, there are people that have said to me that they're willing to donate. I think they're just waiting to be asked. So I don't think you're going to run into a lot of pushback. One thing that's been an interesting takeaway, and I don't really know how to get around it or how to rectify it, is organizations and companies that go, I prefer to buy a brick rather than donate. And I'm not going to call anybody out. I feel like that's a challenge we're going to have to work through. I spoke to the folks at the library as well through the foundation, and they also indicated it was something that they encountered. So it is what it is. I'm not including pavers in the materials that go out to those audiences, but it's something to be aware of. One other thing, and Jen, this might be a place, instead of having to hit up companies, maybe you can help me collect people. So Child Safety Day, Sergeant LeDuc has been super helpful in, they're going to take all of the funding that's generated from the gift baskets from this and donate the proceeds to Town Farm, right? So that's already underway. I already recruited my wife and made her do it. Thank you, Kate. So I don't need help with that, but what I do potentially need help with is I would like to have on that particular day, if we can find some volunteers to help do a drive for donations, have a table there and to potentially sell pavers. I don't know if anybody has any thoughts on some volunteers that could take a shift, not asking somebody to do 6 hours, but 2-hour shifts in there, and we'll have something with a QR code, probably have, if I can set up a computer or a tablet on a stand so people can do it. Something along those lines. At any rate, Jen, I was asking you because I know you're connected with PTO, but I also understand there's a lot going on with you guys, so don't feel like I'm just trying to call you out. Anyway, what do people think?
I'll take a shift that day, Stu.
So I'll be there already with the Heart Safe community for CPR training.
Well, I'll email you and let you know. I just got to work out some childcare stuff that day.
Yeah, and I please know I wasn't asking you
No,
to do it in particular. Yeah, just seeing you might know some volunteers that could help us do it. So
Sure, absolutely.
all right, awesome. So if we can try to help cover that, I've got a call with Sergeant LeDuc tomorrow.
Yes, Stu, I'll take a shift on that too. I know that there's a form that the paver Polar Engraving has available to print out if somebody does prefer not to go in a computer and would, want to fill out a brick order form right on site and give us a check.
Yes, and actually we had it, I have to find it in here. We had it updated. I had it updated from our kind friends at East Right Coast Media Group, who went through and did, I have to find it, she did an amazing job updating the paver design on it, or the brochure design. So I will include that in the kit. So she was pretty awesome. Cool. So again, that date on that is June 12th. It'll be a fun day. They moved it over to Longplex just because I think there was more space there. And Jim Long from Longplex also has been a big supporter of the idea of us going forward and doing stuff. So I owe him a phone call, but he did reach out about what else we could do. So I think there's an opportunity for us to raise some money in there. Jen.
Stu, have we talked to maybe asking any town council members if they'd be interested in taking a chunk of the list of donors as well? I mean, sometimes it's nice to come from someone with some skin in the game. They may know people in town that are interested in donating, and coming from a town council member, I think it might be influential.
Yeah.
I mean, at least ask. I mean, I think it might be.
I like it. I don't know if there's anything, I would have to check just to make sure there's no issue with them calling as a town council member to collect funds. I don't know if there's a legality issue in there, but I know that they all support the project. So right. I can ask the town solicitor first and then find out from there if they can do it.
Okay.
I know they'd pick up the call. So, Dave.
Quick question, not that we're gonna beat a dead horse here. Have we come up with a level of sponsorships? So to kind of touch on what you were saying, where some people are saying, well, we'd rather do a brick. What about levels of sponsorship, similar to what Grinnell's did and what we ended up doing with the dog park, with the bronze, the gold, all that stuff, the platinum, and then there you go, perfect. And a certain level that would include a brick automatically.
I love the way you think. Yeah. So onto this, there's multiple different levels, and I will say that I took some of this. I think Warwick did a playground, and I went in and looked at this. Within this, there's family, individual, bricks or anything really below $500. So 500 to 2,000, 2,000 to 5. 5,000 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30, and then 30 plus. My intent is to have a sign in front of Town Farm that recognizes everybody who's at a certain level and above. That needs to, before we can formalize what that would be, it has to get cleared by the town council. So what's listed in here is just recognition placed at the playground site. Anecdotally, I don't expect there to be any major pushback on that, but I do want to, I need to go through the formal channels because we're leaving people there permanently. But to your point, Dave, as you go through these levels, they do include bricks at certain points that will make sure that they get included.
So now, just to be the guy that's cheap, are these levels too high? Should we find them, hone them in a little bit, or what do you guys feel in general? I mean, I know the scope of the project is not, we're not dealing with pennies, we're dealing with big money, but you know, I'm just looking at, would you scare off a corporate sponsor at a certain level? I don't know. I just kind of throwing it out there. I'm just playing that guy.
Yeah, I think
Silent.
Dave has a valid point there that a minimum of $500 for a family sponsorship is high for a lot of families. And it just feels like this prices the ordinary person out from being a sponsor.
Well, to play devil's advocate a little bit on that, people have the ability as an individual to put a brick there permanently for 50 bucks. So I guess the question a lot comes down to, if we're looking at something that is more of a memorial type piece, where would the threshold and the comfort level be in that?
$250.
Okay. And so what do you get for $250?
The same thing you get for $500 to $1,999.
And this is the tricky part with the brick, because like you just said, Stu, for 50 bucks or 100 bucks, you can get that brick. I almost want to say, in a sense, we put the cart before the horse, but not necessarily. I mean, we could still home this in some way, somehow, but it's going to take some work.
So let's pause on the individual level for a second here and ask the question: are there any concerns with? I can make this bigger so it doesn't easier for folks to read. One second here. Are there any concerns with the higher levels? I agree.
Wait, so are we talking about the dog park now? He's interested. I see what you're saying, Stu. I'm just, I'm looking at, when you think businesses and you think corporations, you got to look at the lower level, and then you got to look at, you know, what are the bigger corporations that we can aim at. I'm not quite certain that there's anybody out there that's going to drop 30. Even if the casino was open, but.
So I would offer that I think that is actually a possibility. What I look at in here is, I mean, I'm not opposed to changing the lower levels and having it there in 250. I guess my question becomes is, if we're setting it from 250 to 2,000, how does that, what incentivizes somebody to put more into it, right? So when I went through and looked at about 6 or 7 different playgrounds, there's definitely like a mix. A lot of it depends on what we're doing. It's also not just the playground, which is the other part to this. And the other side of this is that we can have the ability to actually purchase particular pieces of equipment. We have that breakdown list too, which will then fall into one of these spaces. But you know, I mean, if we feel like we need to do a 250 to 2,000, that's not a hill I'm going to die on. It doesn't bother me. I think as we get higher, there needs to be like, where are our thresholds? Do we feel like the 2, 5, 10, 20, 30 works? How far down should we drop it?
Stu, I'm wondering, like, you know, I'm looking at like the 10,000 to 20. Like, I mean, personally, I would move that up to the diamond sponsorship. Maybe I'm just not shooting high enough for the moon. And then if we get a $30,000 donor, we take that individually, work with the donor and ask them what they want. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I feel like if we're getting someone that's going to donate that much money, it might be something bigger than what's there. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what other towns, have done or how many diamond sponsorships they've typically gotten. I just think maybe even just because we're calling it a family individual sponsor with between 500 and 2,000, it might scare people. Like, I don't know. I think the name, maybe this is just a business list.
Sure.
I don't know.
And then what else would we put instead of family or individual? Reporting?
Small business.
I mean, I think
I'm
it's,
wondering if you drop individual from that and make individual its own spot.
well, again, I mean, I don't want to go much below 250 for individual because then you start treading into the pavers, right? So you're talking, if somebody buys a paver, it's anywhere from $50 to $75 if they don't expand on it, 50 to $100. So you're halfway there. 250 is, I think, I get the point. I think there's the opportunity to push that a little further, but I worry about going much below that.
The other side of the coin is with the $100 paver, they could put their family's entire name on it.
Yep. Yeah, and that's always going to be an option. I think people are putting stuff on there. My personal favorite so far is the person that wrote that like such and such was the best boyfriend ever, and I'm pretty sure he put his own brick in. I'm like, we're gonna get along just fine.
It was
That was Dave. Yeah.
It was Dave. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not. Yeah. Go ahead.
One thing that I have noticed looking at the brick orders so far, there are families that are ordering more than one brick. And you do have some families that are also including a donation on top of the cost of the brick. So you may have some families that are already at that $250 level.
Yeah, I think really the distinction, if you look at it between that and the bronze level, is that the bronze level includes a paver, and there will also be, they're on the website, they're on the social media pieces we do. I don't know. I guess what I'm a little worried about is I don't want to have one sign that has every person who donates any amount of money on it, just purely because logistically it's going to be tough. But I don't know. Well, why don't I do this? Why don't I circulate this around and everybody kind of take a look at it and mull it over? And you're seeing it here. I do think we're going to have at least one or two donors that I'm aware of up at the current what's listed as diamond level. So I just try to be cognizant of that. Without getting into the details, I think that may end up happening. So, but again, at the entry point, we want this to be a community project. So if we need to adjust it, let's adjust it. Sound good? I need money. I don't care where it comes from. The project needs money, not, well, yeah. All right, so in-kind gifts, I want to just kind of move on to that piece. Is there anything else folks want to touch on the donation side of things for right now? I'll send out lists and we'll hit the ground running. For in-kind, one area that I'm looking for an in-kind donation is, and Josh, if you're listening, you feel free to jump in. We do want to put fencing around the playground, not what we have there now, but like a permanent fencing structure. And so looking to see if there is somebody that could potentially help with that. I will also offer that we are going to need fencing for the pickleball tennis courts area and seal coating. So while there are other places we're going to need donations, the two biggest things that I think we're looking for are somebody to help with fencing and somebody to help with seal coating or paving in that area. If anybody has any leads or partners in those spaces, or anybody who's watching this here would love any help folks can provide.
So it would be black PVC coated chain link fence for both the so that around the playground you're talking a 4-foot fence or so, and then the tennis pickleball courts it would be a 10-foot fence and potentially a shorter fence in the middle, but that's still yet to be worked out. And then the other, Stu touched on seal coating, but the big item would be bituminous asphalt paving. So, the tennis courts will be bituminous asphalt with coating on top for the coloring, but we also need bituminous asphalt for accessible spaces on both ends of the park. I think that pretty much covers it. I think those are the big ticket items, or the larger in-kind donations.
Josh, would you mind just after this call at some point in the next couple of days, just putting that down in an email, just the details of what you said, and circulate it out to everybody? If you want to blind copy them so we don't create an open meetings issue, just sending the information out so people have it. That's okay.
Yep, I will do that.
Still, it'll probably surprise you, but I believe I should be able to work on that fencing. I can at least aim for 3 estimates, and also slide in there the potential for the in-kind sponsorship and the donation levels, because I'm going to be touching base as well for the other project I'm working on. So I can kill 2 birds with 1 stone on that.
Yeah. And just as a tangent, congrats to you and Little League for updating those sheds. You guys are doing some amazing work out there. So.
It's going to look good down there when everything's all said and done.
Yeah.
I saw it earlier today. I almost sent you a note about a joke that the cost of that wood would put like 6 kids through college right now. So.
Would it surprise you if somebody did rummage through the pile and take boards?
No.
It only surprises me that it wasn't me. Yeah. No, don't blame them. So.
Well, we got to get that new concession ready for Daniels for that women's softball that Jen said that Little League's going to run the concession for.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty cool too. Again, not to go off topic on this, but it's like pretty cool women's softball league happening, and they were working on getting insurance coverage and all that good stuff. So they're already on the rec agenda for the next meeting. So psyched to see that happen. Cool. All right, so 2 big in-kind items for us to focus on: fencing and asphalt. Those are the next big pieces. Again, I want to thank Humphreys for stepping up, because that was a big concern, and really grateful for their support. And we'll make sure that we continue to recognize them in some other ways, but they've been awesome to work with. I will continue to update the Facebook page just as more stuff happens. I will probably send out emails to all of you just as progress happens, but we'll also copy whatever I post in a public setting so people can see it. A lot of times it's just a duplication of what's going up on social media, and I'll blind copy you again so we don't end up having some sort of meeting issues. That was from in-kind up to communications media. I think the pavers piece, Jen, you bring up a really good point. We need to get the word out about that. If folks can focus on, as a takeaway from this, if you can help raise $2,500 between now and the next meeting and tell people about the pavers, like, I'll count that as part of the $2,500. I'm fine with that. And then Pat, you and I can work on making sure that we get the donation order in next Friday.
Sounds good.
Still, quick question, and I know I missed it. Do we have a hard deadline on the pavers or no?
We're going to do the first order is going to close to try and get them in before we do the ribbon cutting next Friday. So,
okay, because my thought is, if I can get flyers printed, we can get those in every one of the picture packages when they come in as well. I can just drop one in every picture package and have those sent out when the parents get their kids' pictures. They also have that flyer in there. So
we have the brochure done. If you tell me that the count that you need, I can get you that quantity.
Okay, we'll touch base.
Cool. Very, very cool. All right. What
Excellent.
else?
I'm not following an agenda, so I don't want to be out of place. Are we up to a point of general discussion or?
Yeah, I think so. I think that from the general business discussion items, we sort of wrapped up what I had. So I'll kind of open it up if there's other public or open comment.
I'm not sure if it's at the right time. I know I messaged you about it. Do we know if Compan is actually sending a crew in, or is it the two individuals that have been kind of meandering around down there?
So we'll have a better answer to that tomorrow.
Okay.
Josh and I are on a call with the Compan project manager and DPW director Rogers at 4:30 just to check in. So we'll know then. I've also been pretty much texting the project manager every day. I'm sure he loves me by now.
Well, they had a great presentation, enough for all of us to go with them. And I would hate to see that the progress at this point on the actual site, it consists of two guys with New York license plates. So.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. I would also offer that they sent out that agenda that I showed, the schedule that I shared earlier this week. So my intent is that they are going to meet that schedule. And so that is what we will confirm. The only thing that they're waiting on us for is to ensure that that telephone pole moves, but I believe that's underway as well. So,
and Dave, just so you are aware, the contracting company that's actually doing the install for Compan is based out of New York State.
Yeah.
So,
No, I figured that.
Yeah. So just so you know, and there will likely be more New York plates coming in, is my guess.
No, I'm
So
not worried about
like,
the New York plates. It was just interesting that it was two guys. I was kind of surprised.
Yeah, they, my guess is, when we met with them last, with the last project manager, they were finishing up a project in on the North Shore of Massachusetts, that same crew. So my guess is that there's some overlap with the crews, but
Awesome.
we'll know for sure tomorrow.
Awesome.
And we're
Thank
still ahead of schedule, so I think we're good.
Cool. Awesome. Thanks, Josh.
yeah. Right. What else, folks? All right, so the last thing, I ordered the ceremonial ribbon cutting kit today, because that's a thing. So we're getting very close to real. I would encourage everybody, if you haven't had a chance to, swing down to Town Farm and take a look at it. I just want to hit a pause for a moment. You'll probably hear me say this the day we open it, but I was standing at Town Farm the day that we had a kid whose foot went through one of the slats on the bridge there. And that thing lasted for 30 years-ish. And we're getting really close to putting something new and really important back there for the kids. So again, just kind of put a stake in it right now. Thank you all for helping us get to this point. We got a little more to do. This isn't the end of the project with the playground, as much as I kind of want it to be, but we're going to have a really cool opportunity to do more to help serve also the adult community. So it's good stuff. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody. And if you have any concerns or questions, please reach out. I know all of you are doing like 18 different things. Totally get it. So I appreciate what you can contribute to this as we go through it. So are there any other comments before I call for a motion to adjourn? All right, can I entertain a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right, Catherine, could I get a second?
I will second, and everybody have a wonderful weekend.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good